Rockeyez would like to welcome Logan Raskin. Hey, man, what's up? Debut album coming out, or was out about a couple days ago. I love it. Every song I actually love, and it's really the CD really pumps you up. It like all the songs flow well, and I enjoyed it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it actually probably was about a year and a half's worth of writing for my brother and I. We really wanted to, being that it was our debut album, wanted to put out a record that really showed our writing abilities. We're very rock influenced, but we wanted to show that diversity in our writing style, and I really think that we accomplished that with this record.
Cool. Now, you're originally from New York City?
That's right. Born and raised, Lower East Side, New York City.
Man, I could hear the accent a little bit, but my parents were both big musicians. My dad was big into Broadway, did all the original, was in the original cast of West Side Story with Rita Moreno down there on Broadway, was in Oklahoma, South Pacific, Annie Get Your Gun. And my mom was a big jazz singer. They were always performing around the city. So for my brother and I, growing up in that environment, it was pretty crazy, and it was just pretty much a matter of time before we were going to fall into line with the music career, Right. Definitely. Because I was a photographer for Metal Forces magazine, and I was always over in New York and stuff like that. Like you said, CBGB's, Cat Club.
The Cat Club.
Oh, man, Cat Club was like one of my favorites, because you got so close and personal to the band, doing the photographs. It was, just amazing, like bands I photographed, like Lizzie Borden and like all these other bands, and the Ramones. I got the photograph, and like they're legends, that'll never.
The scene has changed a lot in New York City, But even for me and my brother growing up, all our biggest influences came from all those New York City artists, the Talking Heads, Iggy Pop, New York Dolls, Simon and Garfunkel, Joan Jett, Eddie Money. The list goes on. The Ramones, Blondie, Kiss, Richie Havens.
Right.
It's sick. You know what I mean? So, living in the city and being able to go to all the clubs, even on the west side at the Bitter End or CBGB's or Tramps or wherever, Wetlands, Mercury Lounge, anywhere you would go to these clubs, on any given night, you would see just an amazing artist playing,
Right. You got like the best of both worlds, and living in the city, getting to see these bands, but the city's a little bit different now. All It's Only Rock and Roll is gone. I don't know about St. Mark's Sound, if it's still there or not. I used to go there all the time. Actually, I was there a couple of times, and then the Ramones were in there buying records, just like me, and it was.
Wow.
It was
Look how much the music industry itself has changed.
Right.
Kids today really aren't buying the physical CD.
True.
Everything is online. Everything is digital. Even the way we record music has changed.
Right.
We're living in a different era and a different time, and and for me. You get a lot of these younger kids, all they know now are like the digital downloads. But
right.
For me, I've been around a little bit, so I kind of, I still have my vinyl collection. I used to love going to the record stores, paging through all the different vinyl albums out there. And, the first two albums I ever bought was Kiss Alive on vinyl, and it was the Bay City Rollers.
Cool. Yeah, they were hot. They were hot back in the day.
They were hot at the time, man. Back then, Kiss was the first. I begged my parents. That was the first rock concert I ever went to. Was the Kiss Dynasty tour, and Judas Priest opened up. It was at the Nassau Coliseum. My parents took me. I must have been 7.
Wow.
And I sat in the last row. And it changed my life. After that concert, my twin brother and I knew exactly what we wanted to do. That was it.
Wow. I got to see Kiss 1974 at the Capitol Theater in Passaic. They did a double show, a matinee and a night show. It was 74. I think, I can't remember the band who opened up, but it was definitely life-changing.
I know they did a lot of touring with the Dolls. You know?
Right, yeah.
I don't know who it was with them, but I remember seeing that like when they first started off, because the New York Dolls were like the big thing back then.
Definitely. Kiss even copied them actually in the beginning with the makeup and stuff like that. If you look at early pictures.
Yeah, I mean back then, you had David Bowie was doing it, and the Dolls did it, and Kiss just kind of fell along with suit with that. But what was interesting about them, I mean, those guys really wrote good music, man.
Right.
Every one of their songs had a hook. It was real pop rock. They were good songwriters, those guys, and I think that was really what led to their big success, in my opinion.
Definitely. Now let's go back to a little bit to your, catalog and stuff. You had the Logan's Heroes for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the headline, the Whisky A Go Go and stuff like that. What is it like being on that stage? That's like a legendary place.
Well, it was interesting. Obviously coming from New York City, I got to play in some pretty classic venues,
Right.
Limelight, CBGB's, I've even played at the Palladium, Mercury Lounge, Tramps,
Right.
The list goes on and on. So when I originally went out to California, the music scene at the time was very, very different. And I remember the first place I went to, of course, was the Whisky A Go Go, and I went down there to catch out some of the bands down there, and the venue itself was awesome.
Right.
The history in that place and the history of Sunset Strip it's crazy,
Yes.
But the style of music at the time was very different than what was happening in New York City.
Right.
Like in New York, you had just like the straightforward retro rock and roll vibe that was kind of still happening,
Right.
And then in California, you just started getting into like the new metal, the rap rock thing, like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all that stuff.
Right.
And those bands were really just starting to take shape and take form and blow up out there. And that's like all the bands that were playing in those clubs. So for me, I was like a little taken back by that, like the music style.
Right.
But the venues out there were just, I thought they was awesome. And of course, the first time I played the Whiskey was really cool, man. Some of my favorite bands, played. Everyone's played. Aerosmith just played the Whisky A Go Go last week.
Wow, that's crazy. Crazy.
I posted the video on my website. My brother and I were at that show.
Wow.
It was sick. So, and then also playing clubs like the Roxy out there in California. This past year we must have done about a half a dozen shows at the Roxy, which is great. And then, of course, the Troubadour.
Right.
Look at all the bands. Look at all those bands that came out of the show. The Troubadour out in West Hollywood was the place for all musicians to hang out. That was the spot, man. And so just to get a chance really to play there, was pretty remarkable.
That's an amazing class. You had Van Halen playing there and Poison.
Sure.
All these bands that are legendary in the.
Every band that was big in the '80s played the Whiskey.
Right.
Let alone played all those clubs. If you were big in the '80s, you needed to be on the Sunset Strip.
Right.
That's where the '80s was going off. Obviously when grunge hit, Seattle was the spot. You know what I mean? And maybe in the '70s, New York City was the spot. But I know when the '80s kicked around, man.
Oh yeah.
Fuck it, man. If you weren't in West Hollywood and the Sunset Strip, you were nowhere.
Definitely. Now, looking at some of your influences on your bio, it says Kiss, the Buzzcocks, Jim Croce, and the Temptations. That's a pretty diverse list of artists there, and everyone. I followed each one of them, and Jim Croce was just amazing, and the Temptations. Temptations, Four Tops, and all them bands. I just got to see like a year ago Al Green. And I'm a Kiss fan, and people said, Al Green, who's that? And I said,
Right.
well, you don't know music.
Look at the body of work that those artists have done. As music lovers that we are, musicians. I mean, if you don't know your music history, and look, every band was influenced by some other artist.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Kiss had their influences. Richie Havens has his influences. And you just go back and back, and it's just, for my brother and I mean, with my parents, I mean, we grew up listening to a lot of the music that they were influenced by.
Right.
So, I mean, granted, the first rock show that I ever went to was Kiss, but believe it or not, probably the very first show I ever went to was Ray Charles.
Wow.
My dad took us to see Ray Charles. I think this was in Eisenhower Park. It was an outdoor show.
Cool.
So, I mean, seeing that, seeing him just with the music and watching him play piano. So watching Ray Charles was what got me into playing piano.
Right.
And after I saw that, I made my mom get us a piano, and for the next 15 years of my life growing up, I had a piano in my bedroom.
Cool.
So all our writing was done on piano.
Right.
And then eventually, I couldn't really travel with the piano, so I went to acoustic guitar, and then a lot of those influences, those folkier influences, came out, with us on acoustic guitar, such as maybe like Steely Dan or Richie Havens, or and a lot of that stuff started coming out, and it shows. It's like, once again, it shows in our writing style today, and like I was saying to you early on, we really wanted to, being that this was our debut album with the Raskins, we really wanted people to recognize the Raskins as a pretty in-depth style of music writing group.
Right.
We didn't want to just be categorized as just this rock band. We want people to know that there's a lot more depth to us in that, and our writing ability, there's a lot more writing ability there than people might think.
Definitely. Now with the video, We Had It All, and then, if you don't like that song, something got to be wrong with you, because it got to be, because you could be in another room and just hear that, and you could hear, how good that song is. Even if you're not a rock fan or nothing, it flows well. The hooks, the melodies. It's just a pleasurable song to listen to. And
thank you, Maria.
No problem. It's the truth.
That song, and it was interesting. Obviously, when my brother and I write our music, it always starts on, for now, pretty much, it always starts on acoustic guitar.
Right.
And we try to develop a melody and a hook with our songwriting. We try to really focus on bringing out, the pop melodies and the hooks. And we try to accomplish that with every song, whether it's an up-tempo, aggressive rock song, or whether it's a ballad. We really try to, and especially with the choruses, those choruses got to really hit home, man. They have to have the hooks, they have to have the melody, they have to have the harmonies. So, and we feel like every song on this self-titled album, accomplishes that. The hardest thing for us was to try to decide on what was going to be the first single that we released.
Right.
We decided to go with We Had It All, probably because that song has the most meaning to us. And interesting story behind that. People always asking us, obviously, what's the song about? What's the song about? And I'm like, well, it's an interesting story. My brother and I spent so many years in New York writing and playing music, and then we had the opportunity to kind of go out to California and try to, there were some bigger producers out there and people that wanted to get involved with them. And we thought we would, go out there and really try to pursue it and grow our careers out there. And, and slowly we started to realize, and as we were doing that, the music industry was changing. Especially with the online market and everything, we realized that we never really had to leave home to accomplish everything we really wanted to accomplish.
Right.
You know, and song is really based on that. You know, we had it all. You know, we never had to go anywhere. You know, we had everything we needed. We had the ability to write music. The way the music industry is now, you can record a record in your own home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
With Pro Tools, and if you have the knowledge, if you have the wherewithal, you can do it all on your own. And my brother and I, that's exactly what we did. You know, it took us time to understand that and to learn that. You know, when we first started out, you know, the music industry was one way, you know, and the record industry had all the control.
Right.
It's so not the case anymore. It's, you know, now basically the artists, if they're smart, can have total 100% control over their career. You know, and my brother and I, luckily, we do. You know, we set this whole project up that way, where we have total control over our musical career, the direction that we're going, business-wise and creatively, and that's really what that song is about. And I felt it was an important song to be released first because it really explained everything what my brother and I are about and what we stand for, especially in the music industry.
Right, right. What would you tell somebody like was going into music at this time right now? You know, what advice would you give? Would you tell them not to go into music or go into music? Would, you know, like you said, the download, the competition? I mean,
yeah.
You know, forget
it. You're asking a very good question. You know, first and foremost, I would say, you know, educate yourself about the music industry. You know, obviously it depends what you're looking to get out of it.
Right.
You know, I mean, I got into music for the love of music.
Right.
You know, so you have all these young kids out there that love music, and you know what? A lot of talent out there. There's a lot of talent out there. But a lot of times, you know, these labels, they get their hands on you and they eat you up and spit you out.
Right.
And then you never want to you never want to go back to music again. You know, I think the way the music industry now, it's beautiful.
Right.
It's beautiful. It allows the artists can do everything themselves. They can take their time. They can write as much music as they want. They can record it on their own. They can put together their own label. They can sell it themselves. They can do all of this on their own. It's exactly what my brother and I did. Mm-hmm. You know, we took our time. We wrote, for this record, we recorded 50 songs.
Wow.
50 songs. I took my time.
Cool.
I wasn't under a time crunch or anything. You know, and when we felt like we had the music that we were happy with, we put 12 songs that really represented us the best into an album. We put together our own record. I called the label. We put together our own record label. We called the label Morale Records, which stands for Micah, M-I, which is my older brother Micah, who's our business manager, Roger, R, and Logan, Morale Records.
Cool.
We put together our own record label. I signed myself to my own record label, right? Shot all the music videos myself. Shot all the on our own budget. You know, and nowadays with digital cameras and stuff like that, I got so many friends that do video editing and all this stuff. We did all of that. Did the website, shot the videos. I worked the online market. We built up our fan base in New York and California, built up our fan base online. And then my older brother, my business manager, Mike, he goes, okay, what do you guys want to do now? We need distribution. Right. I said, Micah, there's only one place to go. He says, where's that? I said, take it into Sony.
Right.
He said, okay. He walked into Sony. They signed us in 20 minutes.
Wow.
20 minutes. They signed it, gave us distribution. I have full distribution, my own record label, full distribution by Sony. So now I got the world by the balls, man. It's an amazing feeling. Now let me tell you something, Brian. It was a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
A lot of work. But you want to know something? And we had a dozen major label offers on the table.
Wow.
A dozen. And when I was younger, that was my dream. You know that major label record contract sitting in front of you.
Oh yeah.
When you were younger artists growing up, you would pass out.
Oh yeah.
At the opportunity. And now it didn't make sense to me because these deals they're called 360 deals.
Right.
In other words, the only way these major labels can recoup their money or make money is they have to take a piece of everything.
Right.
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Your writing, your merchandise, album sales, your live performances. It's sick.
Wow.
And there's no way after all the work we've done. And I just finally, I was sitting in my attorney's office. He goes, okay, guys, we got this label that want to sign you. He put 4 major label record contracts right in front of me.
Wow.
And said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, as my attorney, what would you recommend us to?
Right.
He goes, you guys don't need anyone. You guys don't need anyone. Because I recommend you do this on your own. And I was like, really? I was like, you don't think we should take one of these? He said, Logan, you guys don't need shit. You've built up your fan base on your own. You've done all this on your own. Because why are you going to give all that away?
Right.
Why are you going to give all that power away?
Right.
And I said, you want to know something? You're absolutely right. And it's all about just not being lazy, Brian. If you're not lazy and you're on top of your shit, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm on top of everything. I'm in constant, touch with our publicist, our management team, our label, our booking agent, the people that handle our radio promo, our tour manager, the people that, that handle our merchandising. It's a lot of work, but you want to know something? It's incredibly gratifying. It's self-gratifying, because I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly what money's being spent. I know exactly what money's being made,
Yeah.
And it's an amazing feeling. I go to sleep at night with this huge fucking smile on my face. And I feel successful in that regard that we're doing this 100% our way.
Right.
And it's an awesome feeling. It really is.
I bet. Now, what is your goal now since the album was just released? It just days ago. What are you hoping for?
Well, look, I mean, releasing, your artistic creations out to the universe, putting it out there, it can be a scary thing, because you have to be open for interpretation, and you're going to get a lot of people judging you very closely. But so far, we've had a very positive response. I mean, obviously, my biggest dream as a musician was always just being able to do music full time.
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that needs to make the millions and millions of dollars to make them happy.
Right.
I play music. Music makes me happy. But being able to do that full time, it's awesome. And we're being able to do that now. Being able to tour, being able to get your message across to people all over the world. You know what I'm saying? Have communication with your fan base. Play shows all over the country and all over Europe and reach people. Actually have something to say and get a fucking message out there, a positive message out there to kids. It's amazing. Like, for instance, my brother and I, we have a couple of really major sponsors that are about to get on board with the Raskins. And Roger and I starting to get involved with 2 major campaigns. One is a bullying campaign, being against bullying.
Right. Because
I know growing up in the city school system, I was fucking running. I was running for my life every day. It felt like, you know what I mean? They're like, and the sponsor said to us, "What would you guys feel about doing a campaign against bullying?"
Right.
And I said, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, I grew up being bullied. I know what that's like. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like to go to school every day, fucking scared shitless. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not worrying about whether I'm going to get my ass kicked when I leave school and all. I wasn't worried about my grades. I was worried about getting home without getting my head kicked in.
Right.
That's kind of how it was for me.
Wow.
I mean, my dad sent me to school. And I said, "Dad, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" He takes a roll of quarters, $10 quarters, and he puts it on the table. And he gives me the roll of quarters. I said, "Dad, what am I going to do with that?" He goes, "Put that in your hand, and if someone bothers you, you knock them out with the roll of quarters." I said, "Dad, that's the help you're going to get me? I don't want I want you to drive me to school and pick me up. That's what I want you to do. I don't want you to send me to school to roll the quarters. But so anyway, we got involved in this campaign with, against bullying, and especially the way the internet is now.
Right.
It's worse than ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only do these kids get bullied in person, they get bullied online. It's it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So, like, my brother and I we're getting involved with that pretty heavily. Also, we're doing an anti-drug campaign. Right. Because my brother and I we're pretty healthy dudes. You know what I'm saying? And we, I want to try to put out a positive message there, because our fan base is all ages.
Right.
But we have a lot of young kids out there that are really into the Raskins, and it's important. It's important to me I'm in a position where I feel I could really, these kids, you should see the thousands of emails that we get. I mean, these kids really look up to us, and they live and breathe every word that we say.
Right.
Every word that we post through Twitter.
Wow.
Every word that we post in our, we say in our videos, or that we post on Facebook. And I slowly started to realize the power of that.
Right.
And it's not only the power of that, the responsibility that comes with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Uh-huh. I mean, I'm not just like some 17-year-old. I mean, look, I've been playing in bands my whole life.
Right.
I've been playing in bands since I'm 14. So, when I was young growing up, I was a crazy, arrogant, nutty kid.
Right, yeah.
But as I get a little bit older and things are really starting to take off for my brother and I realized the power of our position, and we can really make a difference with these kids, So, it's important for me to try to do something good with that, put out a good message there to these kids, and they really respond to it. You'd be surprised.
Right, yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, my brother and I, obviously we believe in not bullying. We have this anti-drug campaign going, no drinking, no smoking, all that stuff. I want kids to know, look, to be cool, you don't have to do that shit.
Right.
Look at my brother and I. I think there's no one cooler than us. Right. You come to a Raskin show, you know what I'm saying? We rock harder than anybody that I knew growing up listening to myself.
Right, yeah.
We wear the leather jackets, we look cool, we do it right, you know what I'm saying? I tour the country in a tour bus, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And to do that, I don't got to drink, I don't got to smoke, I don't got to be a punk, I don't got to bully younger kids. And they hear that, and they get that message, and they're like, wow, that's serious, man. That's cool. So you know what I'm saying? We try to do something positive, with the position that we're in. It's important to us.
Cool. Well, Logan, congratulations on the new CD, and I wish you the best. And like I said, I love the CD. All the songs really pump me up, and I enjoyed listening to it. And hopefully other people support it, get a chance to listen to it, and get the same feeling I did. So I wish you the best for that. Would you like to say?
Thank you. Yeah.
Send anything to the fans out there?
Well, look, I really just want to say that the Raskins are hopefully are here to stay. You're always going to get 100% out of us, no matter what. I want everyone to know. Every time you come out to a show, you're always going to get 100% best, and we want to try to just keep putting out a positive message and vibe to all the young kids out there. And we're going to keep this train on the tracks moving forward, and we're going to keep this going, and hopefully things can just get bigger and better from here. We're really looking forward to the future.
Cool. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it, man. It was really nice talking to you.
No problem. Talk to you later, man.
All right. Take care, my man.
Bye-bye.